Hello everyone, welcome back to Playwright from Zero to Hero. I'm your instructor Mahesh Patel. In today's lesson, we will be discussing about the JavaScript functions. So why do we need JavaScript functions? Functions help us to organize our code into reusable components. Instead of repeating the same code multiple times, we can simply call a function that can handle specific functionality. Let's dive into an example to see how it works. We'll start with the declarative functions. Declarative function. So let me give the syntax of the declarative function. It begins with the function keyword and with the function name. Let me give the function name as hello1, opening and closing braces and opening and closing parentheses. So inside this, you can write any code. Let me write a simple code, say to print console.log. I'll just print hello1. So how you can call the function? So it's simply just call the function with the function name. Now you can just run this thing. Uh, function1 dot js. You can see it got executed. Let me just correct it. Okay, hello one, it got executed. Let's move on to an anonymous function now. Unlike the declarative function, the anonymous function has no name. Instead, we assign the function to a variable. For example, let me create a variable hello2. So let me do it function. As I said, it will not have a function name. Rest is same. Console.log. I'll just print hello2. So in order to work the anonymous function, you have to assign this to a variable. So I'll just assign the variable to hello2. Now you can call with the variable name. The output will be first it will execute hello1 and then it will execute hello2. You got it right? So the main difference between a declarative and anonymous function is that the declarative function can be called anywhere, even before it's declared. What I mean is, so even if it is declared before, you can call the declarative function. But if you see here, I will just execute again, one, two. But it is not the same with anonymous function. If you try to call before you declare everything function, it will throw the error message. You see, hello2 is not a function. So that is the main difference. Let me correct it. Now let's explore the ES6 arrow function syntax, which is a shorthand for defining the anonymous functions. Same anonymous function you can uh, declare using ES6 syntax also. So how in this case we don't need to use the function keyword itself. So everything remains same. Just just copy paste it. You just remove this function keyword, and I'll just name it to hello3. So three, and let me execute this thing hello3. Something I missed here. Sorry, this is the main thing which I missed. So you have to opening and closing parenthesis. After that, equal to and greater than symbol. This is the ES6 syntax, which is you can use this also for anonymous function instead of this, or you can just use function. If you don't want to write function, you have to use equal to and arrow mark. Now let me try to execute this thing. You can see it got executed. Okay, now let's discuss how we can pass argument into functions. For example, let me create a function and I wanted to print a name. Print with a function with a this function name is this thing, print name. So I want to pass the arguments name. So this is nothing but the argument. It accepts the name parameter and prints it. Now let me write a code here inside this thing. So what I wanted to do it console, and inside the code I wanted to pass this argument and sorry my bad, pass the argument, print it. So how you can call the function? Just use the function name. Let me write Mahesh. Let me execute now. You can see the Mahesh got executed. You can pass one more than one or arguments. You can pass more than one argument. Let me just say name, and the second is last name. So here, what you can do is use the plus operator. You have to concatenate, right? Use the and you wanted to provide some space. You can just provide the space, and again you want to concatenate with last name. I wanted to give Mahesh Patel. Let me execute this thing. You see, Mahesh Patel. Okay, instead of this, you can use comma also. Just use the plus operator just to provide some space and all those things. You can use comma and you can print your output. Yeah, it's the same thing. Now let's look at a function that returns a value. For example, we can create a function which we wanted to perform some operation. Let's say multiply by two, uh, and returns the result. So what how we can do inside the function, we have to declare the variable result and perform the multiplication and return the result. When we call the function, we assign the returned value to a variable and print it to the console. Let me show you how we can do that. Function with return. So I'm going to define a function. And the function name is I wanted to use something like multiply by two. So you have to pass the argument. Let's say I'll just pass some number. So now here, what you wanted to perform, let's say, multiply number. You want to take number and you have to multiply by two. You have to just define this variable for this thing. Huh? Once you define inside and you have to return this thing, return result. So now you can call this function using the same thing, return by two. Let's say I'll just give here number as 12. So now in order to see, okay, number it will multiply and it will give the result, but it will not show in the output. What I mean is, let me just run this thing. You see, it didn't show like 24. In order to show the 24 result, you have to pass it to a variable. Let's say my result. You have to print it. Now you can see that my result output as 24 in after running. You can see here. So, what I said, we have created a function to multiply here the multiply by two and which returns the result. Uh, and then like in order to return this result, we have to just declare and we have to some variable and we have to return that variable and we have to capture again in different variable in order to print it. If you want to print and see this thing, you can capture. So it will return, but it will not print. But in order to print, what you have to do, again, you have to pass into variable. Okay. That's about the like function with return. Okay, finally, let's talk about how to structure your code with functions in different files. You can organize functions into separate files and import them when needed. So what I mean is, let me just create one more folder. I'll just say as class 2. Inside this, I'll create one file. I'll name it as function2.js and I'll write a small function to print the age. I pass the argument here as age, console, law. So I wanted to call this function and from I'm shocked why the folder is not created. Let me pass this to. Okay. So now you have two different folders. In the two different folders, we have two different functions. I wanted to use the function which is there in the class 2 folder into, I want to call it in under the function 1. So instead of writing the code repeatedly, if it is there already in the folder, you can use it. How you can do it? You can import the function from the another file using import keyword. Like so, there is a syntax for it. Let me just tell you. So what you have to do, use the keyword import. And if you want to opening and closing parenthesis on the function name, what you have given there, I given like pt age, I think. Let me just go back and check. Yeah, pt age, I have given the function name. And after that, from from which path you have to give the path name, quotes, the path of the name. For after that, dot dot backslash, and the file name was class 2 folder name backslash. The function name was func2.js, func2 function2.js. Now, now you can call that thing. So let me just call pt age. I'll just name it age as 10. Okay. There is one more thing you need to make the changes. It will show the first. Let me. So here you are importing. From here you have to export it. So you have to export it, and you are importing here in this function one. Now let me run this code. Function one. You see, there is. I think cannot use the import statement outside a model. Okay, for this, what you have to do if you want to use outside a model, if you want to use, so go to pack.json, package.json, and type and give model. So when to set, so if you see the description, when set to model, the type field allows the package to specify all just within the ES models. If the type field is omitted or set or treated as common as. So for that thing, you have to use this thing under the package.json. Now you come back here and try to run. I think that error will be fixed. You see, it got fixed. This is importing a particular file. Let's say you have written multiple functions here. Let me just say one more function I have written here. Export to, I'll say gender, print gender, gen. So let me come back to here, and you wanted to use all the functions from that thing. So how you can do? Just instead of the particular function, you just give star, you use star as, you give the variable name, let's say helper from this thing. Now, since the variable, use the help variable name helper dot dot view, what you wanted to call from that thing, the function name you have given, right? pt gender. Let me call that thing pt gender. I'll just give the name as male and try to. You see, you wanted to use all the functions, you can use this syntax import star as variable name you can give and the from the path, and just use the variable and dot function dot and the function name. You got it, right? Okay, just to summarize functions in JavaScript, we have like declarative, anonymous, and for anonymous we can use arrow function syntax also. Also, using the function, you can pass the arguments and you can return the values, and you can import and do export functions across different files. So functions, what is the use of function? It allows us to keep our code clean, reusable, and efficient. That's it for today's class. See you in the next lesson.